So we're well on the way with our VBA-based custom navigation system. And in this video, there's two important jobs to do. Firstly, if we take a look at the spreadsheet, we need to change the captions. We need to change the text that appears within the buttons, because this text should relate to the sheet that you're going to go to if you click on the button. So we need the names of the sheets displaying as text inside the shape. So we're going to have a look at that first. Second thing is we need to name the shape. So if I click on a shape, I can see it's called shape 1 there, and all the shapes have the same name at the moment. We want to change that because that's important for our navigation. We're going to use the name of the shapes in the navigation to help us navigate quickly around the spreadsheet. We'll get onto that in subsequent videos. But firstly, if we wanted to change the caption, the text that appears inside the shape here, well, this code is a little bit obscure, a little bit awkward. So what are we going to do? Well, what do we usually do? If we haven't got anything to start with, it's a good idea to record the code, do what you're doing, get the macro recorder going, and then to subsequently examine it. So let's do exactly that. Developer tab, record macro, and then meaningful macro name. Let's say change caption, hit OK. Back to the developer tab, we can see that we're recording now because the stop recording icon has come up. And then let's take one of the shapes here, and I'm just going to change the caption to Q10. The names of the sheets are outside of your screenshot, so you can't see the sheet tabs at the bottom, but you should be working along in the download file. I hope you are. Then you'll be able to see the sheet names, but I have one sheet called dashboard, and then 10 sheets with Q and a number, so Q1, 2, 3, up to Q10. Okay, so I want the names of the shapes to correspond to the name of the sheets. Anyway, I've done a bit of a schoolboy error because I forgot to stop the macro recorder and just carried on clicking away. But let's go and find the Visual Basic Editor, Alt F11 shortcut to open the Visual Basic Editor quickly. Okie dokie, and that's exactly what's happened here. I'm just going to move this code to the top of the module so that you can see it. And there we go, that should do the job. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so because I did a lot of clicking around, I managed to record a lot of code. So this is the code I just recorded. These green annotations at the top that Excel puts in automatically, they're a good way of telling which code you've just recorded, but I can also identify the routine using the change caption name. That's the name that I typed into the dialog box as the name of the routine. But all we actually need here is the top 2 lines of code, and the rest was when I was just clicking around. So we can delete that. There we go. And then end sub. And sub. There we go. Okie dokie, this looks good. So you can see that I selected the shape there, and then this is the long line of code that allows you to change the caption. Okay, this line of code here. So you can see there's lots of kind of words in there. It's quite convoluted, but I have written it down here. So let's try text frame .characters.text. Okay, so this is the code you actually need in order to change the caption, in order to change the text that appears within a shape. Okay, and we can shorten this code, streamline this code even more. And this is what I want to get started with. Okay, there we go. So I've just recorded some code and then just deleted the bits that we don't need. Excel usually records some bits and pieces that you don't need, and it's just my experience really. I know what's needed, but if you ran the code with those bits and pieces in, it wouldn't actually make any difference. I just want to get the code as efficient and streamlined as possible. But this is the line. This is the line that we're going to need. So I'm just going to put an underscore in here to make it display better in the screen recording. Right, so what have we got here? Get rid of the indentation. Okay, so the first shape, so again we're using the collection, the directory, to select the shape, and then this here is the text that's going to appear. So the first shape, what would I want the caption to be? Well, I'd want it to be D for dashboard, so that's fine. So let's do the second shape instead, and let's say Q2. Okay, so the second shape should be this one here. So I would expect the text in this shape here to change to Q2 when I run this code. So let's give it a go. Okay, there we go. So we can see the text has changed to Q2. Seems to be working well. So what's the next step? Let's try shape 3 and Q3. Play it again. Okay, we can see that's changed. So I could just work through all of them like that. It's easier than having to actually click and right click and edit the shape. But there's definitely an easier way. So what coding construct or concept that we've already used in this series might we use here to speed this up? Remember, we've got a job that we want to do multiple times. So what's going to help us to do that? Yep, a loop is going to help us to do that. So let's declare an integer variable to help us manage the loop. And then a for next loop, as we've used before, should work well. And let's start with shape 2 to shape, I think 2 to 11 should be good, but we can change it later if we need to. So remember, if you're using a for loop, you need to close the loop using the next line, the next and the name of the variable. That's what I've just done here. So we've got a nice for next loop. So that's going to go through the loop. The first time it goes through the loop, count will equal 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, until it gets to 11, just repeating this action here. Okay, so let's give this a go. I've just, okay, yeah, there's something I forgot to do. I haven't actually harnessed the power of the variable yet. So all this would do is change the text for shape 3 11 times. Yeah, that's not quite what we want to do. It's very close, but as always, sometimes you just need to tweak something, and that will get you there, get it working really smoothly. So we can put the name of the variable in there. Because the variable increases once every time we go through the loop, Excel is going to select the next shape every time it goes through the loop and loop through all of the shapes in the spreadsheet. Really nice, cool way to get things done quickly. So if you don't understand that, let's just use the step into the F8 key, stepping into this. And let me just, I'm going to position this just outside your screenshot, but just watch the shapes, the caption in the shapes, and see what's happening. So every time I go through the loop, it's changing the caption, okay, until it's gone through the loop enough times, okay. So it's definitely going through the loop, but it's not quite working with the caption, is it? It's just changing all of the captions to Q3. So it's nice to know that it is working, it is changing the caption, but it's not doing quite what we want it to do. So just have a think now, maybe stop the video. What could you do to finish this and to get the right caption appearing in each shape? Okay, well, a good way to do it would be to use the thing that's changing every time we go through the loop, to use the variable. And we've got our variable called counter here. And this should work okay. Yeah. So we can say, make the caption, the text that appears in the shape, make that equal to Q and counter. And remember, every time we go through the loop, counter is going to increase by 1 in value. It's 2 to begin with. So the caption in the first shape should be Q2, then the next shape Q3, and then it should work through them like that. Again, just keep your eye on the shapes now. I'm going to step into the code, F8 key, step into, and then let's just see what's going on. Q2 just appeared, Q3, Q4, Q5, Q6, Q7, lovely. So I'm just going to play the code, seems to have worked really well, beautiful. Okay, So really nice loop there, and just set up the loop, looped through all of the shapes in the spreadsheet using the variable to help us reference the shapes. We recorded the tricky code. You could have got it off Google maybe, but always a nice approach, just record it, tweak the code, get it working. And then we've used this nice reference for the variable here and use the and sign, that's a big and sign there, to connect it to the Q, and that's giving us the Q1, Q2, etc. So we're in a nice situation now, the captions are displaying really nicely, but there's another job that is not absolutely necessary but is good for completeness, and another good skill to learn. So if we see in the top left hand corner we can see the names of the shapes. I want to reference the name of the shape in the navigation. So we've made the captions equal to each of the sheets. We also want to make the names of the shapes equal to correspond to the names of the sheets. We can see now, we can see in the top left hand corner, all of the shapes are called shape 1, which isn't really helpful for us. Let's copy and paste this routine. So recycling is usually a good coding principle. And I'm going to use this code, but I'm going to change the name of this cell to change name. Because most of this code we can use again. This loop looks perfect for what we're trying to do. And then instead of the caption, let's say name. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Equals, and then we want to make the name of the shape equal to the first sheet. If we're talking about the first shape, the name of the shape should be the first sheet. For the second shape, the name of the shape should be the second worksheet. And then we want to loop through all of the shapes to get that done. So how might we do that in English? And it's always a good idea to try to articulate in English what you're trying to do. We want to make the name of the shape equal, or we want to make the name of the shape the same as the name of the worksheet. That's what we're trying to do. So we just got to translate that into VBA for Excel. So shapescounter.name equals sheets1.name. Okay. So if we do this, it should loop through all of the shapes and make the name equal to the same as the first sheet, which is dashboard. Okay, so that's close, not quite what we want to do. So let's use the variable again, but we're going to tweak it just a little bit there. Okay, yeah, I'm going to change counter because I want to include the first shape this time. And then, no, I think this should work well. Okay. Okay, let's give this a go. Let's just run this code, save the spreadsheet, back it up, and let's give this a go. Okay. Good. So let's have a look at the names. Q1, dashboard, Q1, Q2, 3, 4. We can see the names in the top left corner here. So that seems to have worked. Seems to have worked really nicely. Okay, dashboard, Q10, Q9, okay, Q2. Right, so that's not quite right, is it? Because, okay, it seems like the captions were not quite right, because we actually want Q1 to appear here, not Q2. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the caption code, which I have kept, and then let's run this again. I'm just going to decrease the value of counter by 1, save the spreadsheet, then just play that code again. Yeah, and this looks much better. So we've got Q1, the name of the button is Q1, and the text appears in there. Okay, then we've got Q2, so the name of the button we can see is Q2, and the text Q2 appears in there. So that's about as far as we're going to go in this video, but again, a couple of really nice coding skills. So we've changed, manipulated the text within the shape. It's really annoying to have to double click shapes, right click, left click, whatever, and then to have to type it in, so you can do that programmatically. And we've used a loop to loop through all of the shapes and to adjust that. We've subsequently changed the name of the shape too. Now, why is that important? It's important for the next video, because in the next video we're going to look at putting code in so that when we click on the shape, it will allow us to navigate to that sheet. And that's why it was important to make the name of the shape the same as the sheet in the workbook. It should all come together in the next video when we're looking at creating the dynamic navigation mechanism. See you in the next video.